Hello and welcome to another Warcraft the audio commentary. Today we're going to be watching a game from WRL. This is going to be between Green, spawning in as the Red Night Elf on the left side of the map. The map is of course Echo Isles, and he's going to be going up against Yumiko, spawning in as the Blue Human on the right side of the map. This map is going to be part of a new series called Crowned Replays. Essentially what this is going to be is just replays where I'm just going to find replays sometime in the history of Warcraft 3. You know, they may be new, they may be old patch, who knows. And I'm going to cast them, and they may be a part of a series, but I probably won't cast the whole series. The goal is just to find like really good games, and I'm going to make like an effort to try to have the games be pretty good and worth watching pretty much, if you're like on a limit of how many things you can watch, because I do a lot of content, usually. I know for the past week I've been kind of on vacation, but and I know that, you know, you may, like, people have been requesting, well, could you get some kind of situation where you have, like, gold crown replays or something like that, or, you know, the panda replays or just that, mark them. Well, that's kind of what this is going to be, and it's also going to be kind of a combination of that plus doing replays from older patches and whatnot. So that's pretty much that. I can't guarantee, like, how often these are going to happen, but I kind of think it's a good idea. I think it's going to be pretty... Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to say too much more about it because we are in game. And let's go ahead and talk about Yumiko does indeed have an Archmage coming out as well as a Footman. It looks like he's coming down here to go ahead and creep out that Green. Of course, we can see, oh, Green is going for a Tinker first, apparently. I thought he was going to go for Dark Ranger, but no, that is a Tinker first. He is doing, of course, a Tavern Hero build right here. Of course, he's going to AoW creep the Mercenary Camp pretty quickly, I would imagine. I'm going to actually... I'm not sure if that was an accident to pull those Murlocs or not, but he did indeed pull those Murlocs right there. And here we can see him coming over here with this Ancient of War. Going to come over here and creep out the Mercenary Camp. No problem, it looks like. Which should be pretty easy. It's actually quite nice when you have Pocket Factory and Ancient of War. It makes creeping pretty easy. We can see him picking up that Forestral Shadow Priest right there. Of course, he is a Chinese player, so you can't actually see his nameplate. It's all buggered, but his name is Green. So it might be confusing. I think he's actually green on the color, so... No, I'm not going to mess with it. You can see a Wisp, of course, just scouting out. You can see that Yumiko currently is creeping out his expansion. A pretty quick expansion. He went just from the green right here to come down here and creep out his expansion. As you can see, picking up level 2 on the expansion creep. He did scout the Tinker, of course, right at the very start of the game. And he had that Footman that was out in the middle of the tavern map. There was a Wisp right there. He was doing some damage to it. So he saw the Tinker, and so he knows he can take a pretty quick expansion. He doesn't have too much to worry about. Until the Tinker hits level 3, there's really not a lot he can do in the early game. He just doesn't do enough damage with those Pocket Factories. But he did actually pick up a Pendant of Energy, which is a great item to have, and it's actually going to look like he's going to come down here and Ancient of War creep out his expansion as well. And he's already started his tech, as you can see, putting down a shop in his base as well. You're going to need that for mana. Of course, the Tinker does do a lot of mana spamming. I'm going to have see that Archmage running over here. Looks like he's going to try to do some kind of intercept on this creep right here. And will he actually be able to do a little bit of damage? He is only level 2, but he still does have that Water Elemental that is going to be level 1. And it's actually going to get abolished from this Forestral Shadow Priest, which will allow him to get picked off pretty easily. And now you can see these archers are actually probably not going to die to just Archmage without a dust. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh, I stand corrected. It looks like that a little bit of a miss micro perhaps. Over here we can see there was a Pocket Factory come down. It does look like it killed 2 peasants already, and there's a 3rd one going down. As you can see, it's not going to do too much more damage than that, but that will do a little bit of delay, causing Yumiko to bring in some more militia, and as you can see, that's going to delay his wood a little bit, which is a big deal, because if you can't delay the expansion by the gold, you can always try to delay the wood a little bit. And over here we can see that the Ancient of War has actually gone down. Yumiko's going to teleport out, and, teleport out, not through a TP scroll, but through a staff teleportation. You're going to see an archer going down to creeps right there. A little bit unfortunate play by Green, but looks like he's trying to stay very much on the aggressive with this Tinker now that it is level 3. Just have 391 mana over here, and there's an Arcane Tower up. He's just gonna go ahead and place down that Pocket Factory, and indeed just let that go ahead and summon some guys and go to work. As you can see, the Arcane Tower is not really going to be super effective versus the Clockwork Goblins, because well, they do extra damage to the Clockwork Goblins. When they die, they simply explode. Generally a better idea to go ahead and try to kill the Pocket Factory itself. But in this case, it looks like a lot of these peasants are going to die, unfortunately, for Yumiko indeed. As you can see, that AoE started kicking in, and once they start doing AoE, it's just ridiculous how much damage they do. Of course, you can see over here, it looks like a Tree of Life going down for Green at his natural expansion, while he finishes off creeping that camp himself without the Ancient of War. And it looks like he's just going to go ahead and keep trying to pick up the occasional mercenary. It will allow him to do a little bit better in the early game, because when you don't have just, you know, archers versus footmen, it's not that great. You do want to go ahead and reinforce a little bit with yourself some mercenaries. It's better when you do have like a Tinker, like a hero like Tinker, because Tinker himself isn't going to be that great in a fight. We can go ahead and see that shop. Looks like he's uprooted. Maybe going to try to do some damage on that farm, perhaps. Actually going to see a panda being picked up as the second hero for Green right here. And we'll see what he's going to try to do with that. Looks like more harass on this expansion. And of course, the panda and a Tinker has quite a lot of AoE potential together. So we can possibly be seeing some very interesting strategies. Of course, both heroes do work pretty well versus towers, as long as they're a fairly low number. The only issue, of course, is that they do need mana as well. So if they end up going out of mana to, say, an Arcane Tower, that can hurt. But beyond that, they do pretty well. And as you can see up here at the main, there's actually no towers currently upgraded. Lumber Mill is being researched, and we're going to see a Pocket Factory going down. Probably going to see some militia trying to kill that. It's a very important building to kill very quickly, because the longer that the Pocket Factory stays up, the more damage the Clockwork Goblins do, and that's a problem. And as you can see here, if you can dispatch it quickly enough, then, you know, only 2 Clockwork Goblins come out, and the AoE is not nearly as bad. And of course, they do actually have a decent attack, as you can see. They do about as much damage as a skeleton or a footman over time, just from auto attack. So it's definitely a combination where you need to focus that down, and you need to get rid of it as fast as possible. But down here we can see the panda, as well as these mercenaries and that archer going to work, killing the Arcane Tower that was currently up. There's a guard tower currently being upgraded as well down here now. And that could have died too, but unfortunately, there's quite a few units here from Yumiko. We're going to see a Forest Troll Shadow Breeze going down for Green as he ran him in, I think, from, yes, right through there, and unfortunately he ran straight into all those footmen, as well as that summon, and ended up being fairly useless. If you can see, another Pocket Factory has been summoned in Yumiko's base, and this time we got 3 of those little Clockwork Goblin guys out. And that might be enough to kill a peasant, we'll see. Nope, not quite enough, but it has done quite a bit in terms of delaying Yumiko's resources up here. His mining is a little bit hard, and of course we're seeing Green doing both bases at the same time. It's kind of, I guess you call it a multi-prong attack. And of course, it just, I mean, Yumiko is responding pretty well to it, but he is taking losses. And of course, in the meantime, we can see Green is working on getting his expansion up as well, just trying to catch up. And of course, now that that Pocket Factory is going to go down for another term, and this is kind of the power of the Tinker, allowing him to go ahead and continuously wear down your opponent. As you can see, these units are starting to get low, which means they're going to have a harder and harder time actually managing to survive. Say, for one more Pocket Factory were to come down, there would certainly be some peasant deaths, and that's why we can see that Archmage has come up here to try to deal with that. Of course, there's a Boots on the Tinker, as well as that Vintage of Energy, just so you can see it still has quite a bit of mana just from auto mana regeneration. And you can see that panda, as well as these mercenaries coming in here, going to try to do something to this Archmage. Perhaps we'll see this water elemental going down. Indeed, we're going to, but of course, he is going to be able to pick off a Forest Troll Shadow Priest first, picking up level 4 on the Archmage, and that's going to be quite beneficial. But of course, we will see, it looks like the Pocket Factory Tinker coming in one more time, and this time he should be able to do some damage, some serious damage with this. As you can see, a lot of these peasants are certainly going to go down. Those towers are probably not going to be able to stay alive versus this. As you can see, of course, there is going to be the panda providing some breaths of fire, and they can see that Tinker is being forced to run away as that Archmage actually goes ahead and starts focusing it. We can see Yumiko's army has come in here to try to deal with this. We can see the Mountain King now has come out. So this should be pretty interesting. We'll see. Actually worked out pretty well. Yumiko brought his army in there at pretty much a perfect time, which is going to allow him to stay alive pretty easily. And you can see, for some reason, Tinker is TPing. I'm not sure if he meant to do that. As you can see, there's a dot, he said, so maybe that was a bit of a misclick. But either way, you know, you gotta deal with it if you make a mistake. You can see this mine down here, it needs 2 more wisps to be full. I can see Tree of Eternity's tech going on right now, and Dryads with Abolish Magic currently being produced. You can see 2 Arcane Sanctums going up right now at the expansion for Yumiko, as well as a Blacksmith. And here we can see a fight might go underway here in the middle of the map, as a panda goes ahead and steals the Ogre right there with a Breath of Fire. To go ahead and see Yumiko picking up that Forest Troll camp, and as well as that, picking up also a Potion of Invulnerability. That's 15 seconds of Invulnerability, a great item to have. And now you can see that Mountain King is actually taking a bit of Focus Fire from pretty much the entire army here, as well as the Slow Poison, which is going to actually be fairly nice. As you can see, done quite a bit of damage just right off the bat, and now he's going for the Footman. That's Footman, of course, is defended, and yeah. this is kind of a slow fight right here, but the footman will die, of course, eventually. It just takes a while. You can see that pocket factory actually going to go ahead and kill that farm. Of course, it could have killed any remaining creeps. I don't think there were any remaining creeps after that, but either way, you can see some spellbreakers now on their way out, as well as a workshop being built by 4 peasants down here at the bottom. Seeing once Yumiko saw that there were going to be dryads in the army, probably said, you know, probably a good idea to go ahead and have some warder teams or something like that. You can really go with a lot of different options. Of course, we're going to see Green losing another creep to another unit to creep, so it was a mercenary creep this time. A little bit unfortunate. You don't really want to lose creeps, units to creeps, because of course it's not too generally difficult to keep them alive, but you know, mistakes do happen. Of course, we're going to see an Ancient of Wind going down now for Green, and about to have tier 3 completed, so we'll be able to see where he's kind of interested in going with that. And seeing as there's only 2 guard towers down here, that's really going to be fairly easy to pick off. As you can see, they only have level 1 masonry upgrade, and we can see just one immediately being focused on. There's also a pocket factory down right here. Of course, it's a level 2 pocket factory, and going to kill that second guard tower. Probably will be able to kill it, even though we can see Yumiko is trying to go ahead and mass repair that. Down it goes, and now we can start seeing this pocket factory has been up for quite some time. There's quite a few of those little clockwork goblins out on the field right now, which means they're going to start doing some explosion damage here pretty soon. We can see that mortar team that did come out, going to go down to, of course, these 3 dryads, the ogre warrior, or the ogre mauler, I'm sorry, and that tinker. And you can see the panda now running away, and how much damage is done? It looks like not too terribly much. Lost 2 towers, and I believe only 1 peasant, which is pretty nice versus. So it's nice micro when you're talking about versus clockwork goblins. Clockwork goblins are kind of a big deal when they just get to stack up, and that's really what you have to be on the big concern about, not letting them stack up. And of course, if he gets level 5 on Tinker, then it's really deadly. So we'll have to wait and see. But of course, he's actually about to pick up level 3 on the Panda. As you can see, very, very close. About 29 experience away. Going to actually lose an Ogre Mauler. Slow has been used now by those sorceresses as they come out. And we will see some Arcane Towers going down as well. 2 Arcane Towers, as well as a Guard Tower. I believe those are probably from Ivory Towers. We'll see if those can manage to make it up or not. Of course, those mortar teams are fairly effective versus the pocket factory, not because they do extra damage, but because, as you can see, it's actually a medium armor type deal, but because of the fact that it's easy to keep them into position. We can see that Tinker has now been thunderbolted, and he's trying to run away. Gonna get staffed out by the Panda. Panda now down to 3 experience from actually leveling up to level 3, and then you're gonna have a lot of AoE. When you have a level 3 Tinker and a level 3 Panda, your AoE is quite ridiculous, especially versus buildings. And it looks like we're gonna see bears coming out. These are currently master form bears, so they do have the ability to transform into the druids, or into bear form, which makes them quite useful versus this sort of an army, of course. Sorry, versus, you know, say spellbreakers, the bears do a lot of damage. They don't really take too much damage from mortar teams. They do have to be concerned about being slowed, but there are some dryads that you can go ahead and abolish magic on that. But of course, the dryad or the sorceresses will probably generally be able to out mana your dryads when you don't have very many dryads, because there's Brilliant Aura and slow is fairly cheap. It's only about 50 mana to cast compared to well, I think it's 50 mana to cast Abolish Magic as well, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, you can see 2 Ivory Towers are going down right here in the base. We're going to see a Pocket Factory going down. And of course, Pocket Factory, once again, as I said, really kind of shines when it's lasting a long time. So when you can see it in the back of a fight and your opponent is the aggressor in the fight, then generally Tinker is going to have the advantage right there. And we can see a Fairy Dragon is currently out on the field trying to help deal with these casters, as well as a Haze Fire in the back on those casters and mortar teams, going to force him to retreat. Of course, you can see a lot of damage being done on this Tinker. Going to go ahead and use a Moonwell. Going to go ahead and use a second Moonwell all the way back up to full now. And it looks like Yumiko is going to be forced to retreat in this fight. Going to lose at least 1 Spellbreaker right here, as well as another one. We can see Yumiko now is in 84 out of 84 food. That's high upkeep, and we can see that, of course, Green is at 73 out of 90 food, and we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens here. But it looks like Yumiko is going to be in retreat mode right now. Panda is actually in a bit of trouble. We might see the Panda go ahead and get an Invoke Potion off at 35 HP. Going to go ahead and cast 2 Wands of Illusions on some bears. Just go ahead and giving himself more presence in this fight right now as he tries to chase down some of these peasants, get some additional kills. And if we click right here, we can see which ones. Well, actually, I guess we can't really see which one of these bears are illusions for some reason. I think it's a replay bug, but whatever. It's this one, and well, there's 2 of them, so there you go. Whatever. You're gonna see Yumiko being forced to TP at this point. And you can see, of course, at the end of that fight, Green sitting at 76 out of 90 food and Yumiko at 80 out of 84. So we can look at the gold mine counts now. You can see that Yumiko is at 6,300 on his expansion. while Green is at 9,000. And of course, the mains are probably going to be both about 4,000, and indeed they are. Yumiko actually having about 200 less, or 200 more gold in his main gold mine, which means he's had less time mining. So it works out fairly well. I mean, you can see since that's about 8,800, and then this is about, yeah. So Yumiko's mined about 1,800 more gold currently on the map, which isn't really that large of a deficit, and especially when he's had so much harass on his base, and he's had to put up so much money in terms of just getting defenses, having them destroyed, such as towers, and losing a couple of peasants here and there. Losing a lot of mining time up here because he was trying to deal with those pocket factories and having to use militia. And of course, really once he started getting into that, we saw that the peasants were really starting to get low on HP, and they had to start being really careful. And Yumiko really couldn't creep, he couldn't really harass at that point in time. So ultimately we saw some, it's really working out. Again, I don't know who's in the lead. It's very close right now, I would say. But we can see quite a few bears actually out on the map at this point. These are, I think, all real bears. Actually gonna go ahead and see, it looks like they are. Just clicking on all of them. Yep, that's a lot of bears. 79 out of 90 food. And of course, we can see Yumiko also at 79 out of 90 food. We can see 1-1 on the upgrades for the bears. Spellbreaker's at 0-1 upgrades. You can see that he's about to get a first attack upgrade, but that's only about halfway done. And 2-0 attack upgrades on the mortar teams. And that's actually quite nice to have 2-0 on your mortar teams. It's going to do a lot of damage to the dryads. Also going to be effective just with trying to snipe the pocket factory. And again, not because it does extra damage, even though you may think it does because it is a summoned building, but they don't take extra damage from siege. Instead, it's just one of those situations where it's one of those things, like I said earlier, it's all about the positioning. And you can have the mortars positioned fairly well for pocket factories. Now you can see up here in this main base, we're going to see the Tinker going to go ahead and take quite a bit of this arcane tower. I'm not sure why he doesn't move that out a little bit sooner, but whatever. Of course, we're going to see, of course, since this is a level 5 Tinker, that means this is a level 3 pocket factory, and we can just see how much damage that does to a building even, as he just dies right there, which is pretty much a lot. And going to actually manage to probably kill this arcane tower just with the clockwork goblins. At the same time, we can see down here, it looks like indeed we're going to see invis mortars have been used down here to go ahead and try to snipe the expansion, and it will actually go down to one mortar that actually sits around and stays. That was indeed a TP scroll for an expansion, probably well worth it. A TP scroll as well as a mortar. Up here at the top, we can see that there will be the arcane tower going down to those clockwork goblins. Looks like it's time to resume normal mining now. And the question is going to be, how fast can you get this expansion rebuilt? Probably pretty quickly. Of course, that was with the Nature's Guardian upgrade, or whatever it's called, which gives you 7 armor on your Tree of Life, as well as additional movement speed when you upgrade them, which helps when you're trying to run to avoid the damage from siege, because you do actually take less damage if you don't stand in the direct center. Like this area right here for a mortar does more damage than the area right here, even though there's a splash, and it's actually split into about 3 regions. So moving out, you can move from the closest, the middle, or the highest damage impact zone to the slightly less one. So it's really good, that upgrade. Not only does it give you more armor, it lets you kite the mortars a little bit better. And over here we can see this fight going down. We can see a bear has been staffed out. We will see Blizzard being used fairly effective here. Just getting all, as you can see, all of those bears as they get slowed and try to run through. We do see an anti-magic potion has been used on the panda. Just going to go ahead and haze fire again onto the casters and mortar teams. Going to try to keep that panda out of the main focus of the fire right here. And we can see these the spellbreakers are really kind of inept versus the bears, because simply the bears do way too much damage. You can see that 1-2 upgrades have been researched on the bears currently. 2-0 still on the mortar teams, and over here for the spellbreakers, 1-1. We do see second upgrade for the second attack upgrade for those spellbreakers is currently being researched, and it's about to finish here in just maybe 5 or 10 seconds. We'll go ahead and see that again. Yumiko is still sitting at 79 out of 96 food, and Green sitting at 80 out of 90 food. Both players sitting on about an equal number of gold, and we can see Castle Tech on its way for Yumiko up here. The Tinker is actually, oh, he's level 4. I thought the Tinker was level 5. That's my bad earlier. I said he was level 5, but in TNT he's only level 4. And we will go ahead and see that Clockwork Goblin is going to force the Yumiko to stop mining at his main base once again. And of course, unfortunately for him, that Pocket Factory is in range of this guard tower. So we'll see if you can actually manage to get those Clockwork Towers down there and do some damage to it. Yes, indeed they can. I don't know if that's going to be enough to actually kill it, but we do have a fight going down all the way underway down here at the bottom near the shop of the map. You can see that Archmage is currently running away. The Mountain King goes over there, picks up a Scroll of Healing, perhaps both of them, and a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, and now he's going to try to run away. He's probably going to be forced to use his Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. Yes, indeed, he does. As you can see, of course, being attacked by Dryads and Bears kind of hurts. Up here at the top, you can see that Tinker coming back into the fight, going to summon one more Pocket Factory. This time he will certainly be able to take out this guard tower, and if he chooses, he can take out this one as well. Castle Tech does mean more additional upgrade options at the blacksmith, as well as a potential third hero. So we'll see what Yumiko decides to do. You could pick up a lot of different options for third heroes. We are going to see fragment shards being upgraded. We might see a paladin. We might see a dark ranger. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Of course, you can do different things. You could even do a blood mage or something if you really wanted to. Maybe a little bit of an odd choice, but we'll see. If he might not even go for a third hero. We could go ahead and see that the Pocket Factory does eventually die, and you can just see it's slowly wearing away. It's also doing a lot of damage to the castle over time, and that guard tower will die. Next time when that guard tower goes down, then one more Pocket Factory, and then those peasants are going to be in some serious trouble. We're going to see that Tinker trying to run back in. The question is, would it be worth it to go ahead and Pocket Factory one of these green cramps and just get level 5? It might be. Maybe not, but it looks like we're going to see the Tinker in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to get stunned right off the bat, and we will go ahead and see him popping that anti-magic potion as he tries to run away, taking a lot of damage in that process. That was very close. Definitely very close. Probably too close for comfort. We'll go ahead and try to... There is a trick you can do with Pocket Factories where you can summon them in a certain place and they'll pop out over here. I don't quite know where you have to stand or if that's even possible in this particular area. But you can jump them across trees and stuff, so and as well as ramps. So we'll see if he tries to do that. It doesn't look like he's going to, though. Looks like he's just going to come up here and actually going to die to a bolt, quite unfortunately. You can see down at the bottom, Yumiko has TP'd into his expansion, and Green just trying to do some damage here, taking out one building. I'm not quite sure what that building was, but he took it out, and now he TP'd out in the meantime. We'll see Mortar Team's about to have their third attack upgrade researched, which is going to make them hurt quite a bit. And as you can see up here, that Pocket Factory is probably going to take out this guard tower. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Yeah, I think it will. As long as he uses this one Clockwork Goblin, one more Clockwork Goblin should pretty much take this out. And we'll see maybe some militia looks like being called to go ahead and try to save that guard tower, in fact. And it looks like he could do that. We might even see a little bit of damage going down, but not too much. So down here we can see that the Yumiko human player coming in from the bottom of Green's expansion. I'm going to go ahead and immediately kill the Entangled Gold Mine and doing a lot of AoE damage, which will be able to take out 2 Wisp right off the bat. And this is a great position for the human player. As you can see, it's going to take a long time for these bears just to get down here even. So as you can see, these units are just this Night Elf army, all kinds of split up, having to really be slow and regroup. And once this actually does go underway, there's a nice choke point here, allowing you to keep your 5 mortars in the back here. Okay, actually, it looks like he has 6 mortars with their 3-0 attack upgrade and just murder units and buildings while they can't really even be attacked. And it looks like they're actually going to come back behind, maybe try to do some damage through the trees, perhaps. We could see that. You can summon a water elemental, I think, right here if you try. I'm not sure which position it is. Looks like he has vision anyway. He probably has the flare upgrade, which allows him to just cast a flare and see a big portion of the map. As this fight's going on, we'll see that the Tree of Life is going to go down. And here comes that panda, and here comes the Night Elf army. Is the Tinker alive yet? The Tinker is still dead. We're going to see that Mountain King immediately trying to TP out. And there's chimeras on the map. What do you know? There's all kinds of stuff. You're going to see this panda going ahead, maybe creeping out this orange, getting a little bit closer to level 5 himself. Of course, this main, as you can see, has quite a few peasants on gold currently. The gold's about to run out for him there, and the gold will eventually run out here as well. As you can see, it's actually getting quite remarkable just how close the difference is in gold between the main gold mine and the expansion gold mine for Yumiko. As you can see right here, about 1,000 gold, and right here about 750 gold. So about 250 gold difference. We will see that Yumiko, or Green, has gone ahead and lost his main gold mine. Or I say lost, he's mined it out, and now he's just going to move his main down here to mine out the expansion as well. And we have, how many chimeras are on the map? I see 1 currently, probably just 1. We can actually hear some flying machines being produced. Indeed, just getting those. I'm sure they have their flat cannon upgrade, and they are of course 3-1 because they benefit from, I think, the same upgrades as the mortars. I'm not sure, not quite the same. They benefit from the attack upgrade of the mortars and the defense upgrade of the breakers. Humans have a kind of a weird system there. Most units take like a weird mixed match kind of set of upgrades. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and see a reveal being cast just in case there was any mortars, and there weren't. But it looks like a paladin. A paladin will indeed be the third hero pick for Yumiko in this game. And let's look. I'm just gonna go ahead and kill a peasant. Just trying to see if he can't get down his food count. He is at 95 out of 96 food. And he doesn't really need all of these peasants. He is mining gold. Plenty of gold is being mined, and he does go ahead and have a bunch of additional peasants on wood that he can probably get rid of. And you can go ahead and see him just mass producing these flying machines, because flying machines are kind of useless unless you have a bunch of them. Gonna go ahead and see that he has now officially mined out his main gold mine, and as you can see, he has about 180 gold left to mine out. Over here we can see for Green, he has about 6.5k gold to mine out. But of course, the question is, will he actually be able to live long enough to do so? Because as you can see, he's at 69 out of 80 food, and Yumiko is sitting at 94 out of 100 food, and he can actually mobilize a lot of militia, and as well as some towers, should he desire, when he comes over here. Actually, I don't think he can do towers. He doesn't have any money. Down to 22 gold. I'm sure he has ivory towers. I'm not sure what the point of that is. We might see him sell those because he doesn't have enough money, or perhaps sell another item because he doesn't have enough money to actually upgrade those. Or you might even just place them down for just to try to, you know, provide a bit of a wall versus those bears, and that would also work pretty well. So we'll have to wait and see what he decides to do with those. Using them as a choke point might be the best idea, because you won't make that much money from selling them. And honestly, I think even if you sold them, you really couldn't buy anything, because you'd only have about 70 gold total from that. So it's not really all that beneficial. And as you can see, it looks like Inner Fire being manually cast on all of these units. Inner Fire, of course, is quite ridiculously good. As you can see, upgrading +5 armor, a little bit of damage, and that's just on those flying machines. The Knights over here at 12 armor with this Inner Fire upgrade. That's going to really hurt. And these Dryads aren't going to have enough mana to actually go ahead and dispel all of those Inner Fires. So it looks like Yumiko is probably going to win this engagement. And if he does, the question is, how will the game develop from that point on? We're going to go ahead and see that Tinker, not quite level 5 yet, going to get storm bolted by the Mountain King. We're going to go ahead and see him trying right here, trying to throw down a Pocket Factory. Unfortunately, he is currently just eating up a ton of blizzard damage right here on all of those bears. Of course, the Chimera has gone down to that flying machine number. Of course, now those flying machines are pretty much useless in this fight, so Green isn't completely out, but we'll have to wait and see if he can actually still pull this out. He is level 5 on that Tinker now. He did go ahead and have to use his Potion of Lesser Invulnerability. He does have a Scroll of Healing. He did get Storm Bolted. Gonna go ahead and I think he is currently surrounded. No, just barely not. If we can see another Pocket Factory going down at some point, that would be good. But it does look like Yumiko won that fight pretty handedly. As you can see, he's still at 91 out of 100 food, and Green is down to 20 out of 80 food. So that is a little bit unfortunate by play for Green right there. As you can see, being outnumbered. Your opponent has over, what, 4 times your food. You probably aren't in good shape, but there you go. The good game is called. That is the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was an interesting game. I think that Yumiko definitely ended up getting to the position where he just had a huge advantage at the end of the game, because, you know, really it's difficult as the elf player in that sort of a situation when you lose your main that you're mining from twice and your opponent has about a 6k gold advantage on you. I think maybe if Green had gone ahead and tried to level that Tinker to level 5 before he kept doing all that harass at the main top for the human player, I think he could have done a lot better there, since he was about 1 green away and there was that green he could have easily crept out. But, you know, whatever. That was a good game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and that's the only game I'm going to be able to do today, because I'm actually back at school now, so I'm back in my dorm, and again, that means I also have a roommate again, so my time to do these again is limited, but, you know, hopefully I'll be able to get back to the one or two a day schedule, and so, yeah, I don't really have too much else to say, do I? No? Maybe I'll say Happy New Year? I think I've already said Happy New Year, but whatever. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I'll see you guys next time.